Keep watching to see my July 2021 Plan With Me video. And sorry this video is a little late, you guys, but as you'll see, these spreads were really drawing intensive this month. So my theme this month is going to be some really fun, colorful buildings. I wanted to incorporate some bright, summery colors this month because lately I've had a lot of pastel colors in my journal, and I wanted to change it up. And as I was scrolling on Pinterest, I came across a beautiful picture of these buildings, and I thought it would be so fun to draw them. So this picture is not only the inspiration for the whole theme, but I also tried to replicate it for the cover page. But as I'm sure you can see, the buildings that I drew were a lot shorter just because I thought it would look a little more proportional that way. And I drew this in 1-point perspective. So when I was sketching out the cover page, I drew a dot on the right side of the page, and all of the horizontal lines connect back to that dot. For any vertical lines, they're just straight up like normal. That's basically a gist of 1-point perspective, and it's the easiest way to draw realistic looking architecture, so I'm really happy with how the cover page buildings turned out. And after I was done drawing, it was time to start adding the colors. So you'll see me using a pastel purple marker to add shadows, and that is actually a technique that artists use. They lay down purple underneath where the shadows would be so that when they go over top with the regular color, it's already shaded. So after I created some shading, I colored the buildings with yellow and pink, and I used a bright teal color as the accents. I also incorporated some plants into the drawing, so I colored those with 2 different shades of green. Initially, when I was making this theme, I was kind of debating between 2 different color palettes. Obviously, there's the one that I chose, which is the bright, summery colors like pink, yellow, and blue, but I also was thinking it would be really good to go with some more darker tones like brown and rust and just dark green. I thought that could also look really good with this drawing style, but I think it's more appropriate with the colors that I chose for July. For the lettering this month, I wanted to try out the new alphabet stamps that I got from Jianwu. Usually I use cursive or just my regular handwriting on the bullet journal, but instead I wanted to try these out, so I wrote July using the typewriter font stamps. Okay, so for the quote page this month, I wanted to keep it simple because the cover page had so much drawing on it. So I drew 2 cute little windows with some plants hanging below. I think those are actually called flower boxes, but I didn't actually draw any flowers in them, so I don't know if I can actually call it that. But anyways, it just has some plants hanging down below the windows, and I thought it looked super cool. Drawing these windows was actually quite simple, and I don't know if I would need a ruler for it in the future. All I needed to do was draw 2 rectangles and then 2 skinnier rectangles on the side of each of those for the window shutters, and then after that all you do is add the details. So again, after all the drawings were complete, I used the same coloring process as before, the pastel purple marker for shadows, and then over top with the regular colors. For the quote this month, I've been really loving Olivia Rodrigo's new album Sour, along with 1 billion other people on the planet. But anyways, I included the most relatable of her lyrics for me personally, I Can't Even Parallel Park. Alright, moving on to the calendar page. So first I used a ruler to outline the July calendar, and then, for some reason, I thought it would be a really good idea to draw a bunch of doors behind the calendar. I actually ended up getting a hand cramp from drawing all of these, but in the end I think it was worth it. I started by drawing 6 by 13 rectangles for the doors, and I made sure these were randomly spaced out to create more visual interest. Then I filled in all of the doors with different designs, and if you actually look at the spread, every design is repeated twice, but I also colored them in so that no 2 doors are exactly the same. So at first, I was having a really hard time deciding what to do with my calendar page this month because it's kind of hard to draw a building behind the calendar. I thought that would cover up the building too much and distract from the calendar. But then I saw the cover page from April from a bullet journaler / Instagram account called Well That's Sketchy, and it really inspired me to put doors behind the calendar. Now obviously I didn't just go out and copy her work, but I did draw inspiration from it, so I wanted to acknowledge Well That's Sketchy for giving me an idea of what to do with the calendar page. Alright, so before I could color the doors in, you guys know the drill. I used the purple marker to quickly add some shadows, and then I started adding the colors. I made sure that the colors never got repeated right next to each other, so basically every door is surrounded with doors of different colors. I hope that makes sense. And I was going to add the letter stamps right on top of the drawings, but when I did that, they blended in too much with all of the drawings. So instead I stamped them onto a piece of paper, cut those out, and then taped them onto the page using my Tombow tape roll. And then as I was editing this, I realized that I lost the footage for me filling in the calendar. I don't know how that happened, but I think it's okay because it's fairly obvious what I did. I just used a ruler to make all the grid boxes 5 by 5 and then numbered them off. For my mood and habit trackers, I combined them onto the same page, unlike what I usually do. On this page, I started by drawing another 1-point perspective building. This time the dot was on the left. And this drawing was inspired by another Pinterest photo of buildings right next to the water. I actually think this photo might be from Venice, but don't hold me to that, because I could be wrong. Anyways, here's just some footage of me drawing the building and then coloring it in. I think it's really relaxing to watch the drawing process, so I'll just be quiet for a minute here. So now that the building is all good to go, I started making the habit tracker portion of the spread. I outlined 9 mini July calendars with my ruler, and at the top of these I'll eventually label all of my monthly habits. For the mood tracker, I turned away from my usual color key tracker. Instead of coloring in 31 different objects this month, I'll use a graph. The scale is from sad to happy, and each day I'll add a dot. Since drawing buildings takes a lot of time, there was no way I was going to draw 31 of them for my mood tracker. And then I used the alphabet stamps to label the habit and mood trackers. I also added some monoline cursive to write tracker on both of them just to make it look extra nice. The last page of the setup is my first weekly spread of July. Instead of doing another 1-point perspective building, this one was just the view of the front of the building. It looks a lot more two-dimensional this way, but I also wanted to do something different. So this building is 3 stories tall with large windows on the bottom, a kind of basic looking second floor, and a brick third floor with one of those really cute attic windows. This one was super fun to draw because it didn't take as much precision as the other ones, and I think it turned out super well. I ended up shading everything because even though it is two-dimensional, I wanted it to match all the other spreads in my bullet journal this month. Shading all the individual bricks on this page took forever, like way longer than on the other pages, but it was worth it in the end because it looked really good. And then I tried to incorporate all the theme's colors onto this building, although later I realized that there were no plants in the drawing, so there's no green. But on the first floor there is pink and teal, on the second floor there is yellow and teal, and on the third floor I used red for the bricks. After that, I decided to divide up the page into different categories, so I had assignments, events, to-do, packages, and notes. Dividing the page up like this works a lot better for me than dividing it by day, because usually my to-do list items don't have a due date, so I end up wasting space if I do it that way. And to stay on theme, I use the alphabet stamps to label the days of the week for my weekly events. And without further ado, here's the July 2021 bullet journal flip through. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. If you enjoyed this video, I'll be making monthly bullet journal videos just like this from now on, so don't forget to like and subscribe.